Hello, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising. Welcome to my channel. It is such a blessing to be here with you, so thank you for being here with me for your February 2024 recap. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to connect with you today. In the description box below, you will find links to information on personal readings, the Soul Good membership channel on Telegram, and ways to support the work I do here if you would like to explore any of those options. You will also find a timestamp if you would like to jump to the start of your reading. Please do keep in mind this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so use your discernment and take only what resonates with you. If you find that something shared does resonate, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment below, and or share this content as it tells YouTube that there may be something valuable here for someone else, which is a gift to both this channel and to others as well, and I greatly appreciate that support. The month of February brought for us the meeting of Chiron and the North Node, which inspires us to recognize and accept our wounds and activate our own healing. We were encouraged to forge a new path forward, utilizing the wisdom, knowledge, and intuitive truths that we've gained to align us with our higher calling. So we're going to be looking at the overall energy, what realizations or epiphanies that February brought for you, how this could impact your journey moving forward, and getting some messages or advice to best support and serve you moving forward. So without further ado, Scorpio, let's dive in and see what's coming through for you. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Christ, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, tell us please about the overall energy for Scorpio. Tell us please about the overall energy of February 2024 for Scorpio. Thank you. Tell us please, what realizations or epiphanies did February bring for Scorpio? Thank you. Tell us please, how will this impact Scorpio's journey moving forward? Yep, all right. And what messages or advice will best support and serve Scorpio, please? Yes, all right. Tell us more, please, about the overall energy. All right. Tell us more, okay. Thank you. Tell us more, please. How will this impact Scorpio's journey moving forward? All right. And what messages will best support and serve Scorpio moving forward, please? Okay, thank you. Anything else we need to know, please, about the overall energy for Scorpio? Anything else we need to know? Thank you. Anything else we need to know, please, about the realizations, right? Anything else we need to know, please, about how this will impact Scorpio's journey moving forward? Thank you. Okay. And any other messages? Yes. All right. Okay, the overall energy for you, Scorpio, we do have here the law of polarity. The moment that you judge anything as good or bad, you set the universe into motion. It's interesting, Scorpio. I feel like in February you may have experienced situations where you were put in a position where you could have either seen whatever was unfolding as good or bad. I know that kind of goes without saying, but I feel as though I think maybe for some of you, you found this interesting, or even maybe you were a bit perplexed by the result or how you felt after experiencing certain things. Okay. So it feels like to me that for some of you, certain things have unfolded. Perhaps you walked away from certain things or ended certain things or released or let go of certain things. And maybe in the past you would have seen those things as being bad or negative or, sad or something that caused or created a bit of conflict within. And it's interesting because I feel like for those of you that resonate with this, you may have felt some kind of sense of harmony or peace or maybe neutral about the situation instead, maybe even good, dare I say. But it really does feel more along the lines of just kind of being like, it is what it is. So that's really interesting. Yeah, it feels, I just heard seeing things with new eyes. You have here as well the law of karma. You are being called to a higher purpose. Yeah, I feel as though, this is coming from this place where essentially giving, how do I say, not taking a position, let's say, or remaining more neutral on situations, playing the observer, practicing non attachment, these sorts of things, I feel is a means by which you are releasing certain things that may have been repetitive in your experience, right? Certain traumas or wounds or programming or maybe even lower egoic drives, however you would like to phrase that. I feel as though, this is a way for you to kind of let go of those patterns, or yeah, it feels as though it's calling you, or the opportunity was essentially to call you to this higher way of being, which is not easy by any means. But I do feel as though you may have arrived at this place where, again, there's a little less judgment of things and a little bit more of this neutrality as a means by which you are raising your vibration, right? Or as a result of your vibration is rising. Or you are moving into higher levels of consciousness or awareness. And I feel like for some of you, there's been this, I mean, we're going to get to realizations, but I feel like for some of you, there may have been some realizations that when you are in this more observer state or neutral state, where you're not passing judgment on things that happen, you're not taking things personally, that life just seems to flow with more ease, that it doesn't feel so heavy, so burdensome. And I feel as though this is maybe a feeling that you are surprised by, that maybe this is something that has actually created or added to your life, rather, in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's simply just you feel better about life, or life doesn't feel, like I said, so heavy or burdensome, right? It's pretty powerful. It's an impressive place to be. You also have the law of giving and receiving. Give away a material item to, or pardon me, give away a material belonging you love to someone. That's an interesting one. Okay, so I just heard like the next level. So this is really interesting, because I feel like what took place here, where there's more of this neutral state or this, non-attachment, um, or observer's perspective, I feel as though it's, you're being called to a higher purpose. So I feel like it's prepared you, or is preparing you for the next stage, which is being in this state where you're giving and receiving and aren't clinging to things, where you're not giving things so much weight, which does help to create this detachment from the material world, and certainly creates much more ease in our experience, right? Uh, I think a way that I've looked at this, and I feel could be maybe beneficial to share with you, is that when we don't have attachments to things, if that thing or people or whatever it is suddenly, gone, if it's taken from us, if we lose it, or whatever the story is, it's not going to completely unravel us. And so I feel like this was preparing you for the next stage, if you will, of your evolution, the next stage of your growth, where you're in this place where you can just give and receive freely, and there's not so much weight to it, right? You don't feel some type of way about receiving, like you don't feel guilty or as if you owe somebody something, or or maybe that you aren't deserving, or I'm not exactly sure how that might show up for you, but I just feel like, you may be at ease in some sense with receiving, and as well as with giving things, letting things go. I just feel like it creates this more yes, surrender to things being what they are and being okay with that. So it feels really like a big transformation is in the works for you, and has been being worked upon you in some ways as well. Okay, you have here as well, trailblazing, innovative, and fearless. I am getting fear, surprising, coming up. But what's interesting about this is it feels to me like where you once held fear, perhaps now you are in a state where you are more fearless. And I feel like you're carving a new path for yourself. It's like you're writing your own story. Previously, I feel like some of those things that maybe you had attachments to held some kind of control over you, or was writing your story for you. And now it feels more like, this independent kind of energy, where you are essentially the author of your own story, where you are establishing more leadership over your own life. And again, it feels as though things that may have caused you fear previously, you are now looking at fearlessly. And again, such a powerful place to be. For some of you, I do feel like this is to ultimately put you into a leadership position, whatever that looks like. I don't know exactly how that might be showing up for, each person. But it does feel like you're being kind of molded into, I don't know, molded to become a leader of some kind, whether that is in your job, in your community. I don't know, but that's what it feels like. So exciting. You have here as well power, activism, and vengeance. Yeah, I really feel like this is all unfolded in order for you to stand in your own power, right? I do feel like it's activated something within you that maybe was dormant previously. This may have even been something that you were, I don't want to say unaware of, but I feel like it's almost like you didn't know you had it in you, right? Something like that. Like I didn't realize that I could just be okay with this. I didn't realize that I would, just feel so kind of nonchalant about it, or, at peace with it, or something like that. I feel as though, it's positioned you again to kind of reclaim your power. I feel like you may feel more bold, or that you are standing more and confident, like you're standing confidently in who you are. um, yeah, I love that. This feels like a new, like, how do I say this? It feels like this is a side of you that you have not even seen before, right? Maybe there are people around you who saw this in you, but perhaps you struggle to see it yourself. And going through whatever events took place in the month of February that brought this forward, I feel as though you're seeing yourself in a different light now. I think it's interesting as well that you have what appears to be the moon, full moons at that, and both of these cards. Okay. Um, and here, though, there's this kind of crescent looking moon on this card here, because I feel like the illusions that you were once living under or living by have diminished, right? I feel like they're fading away, or you're gaining clarity on a lot of things and kind of bringing that down into your being. You have here as well, soul family, call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. I feel like some of you gain some sense of foundation or stability in those that are around you, in those that are supportive of you, in those that have been encouraging you to recognize certain things about yourself. I feel as though I don't know, for some of you, there's some sense of like camaraderie. Maybe you haven't experienced that before, but it feels like there's some sense of you get me, right? And I feel like, interestingly enough, and I feel like this has come through before you in previous readings, Scorpio. I don't remember which, so forgive me, but I feel like some of you have found this sense of camaraderie, if that's what you want to call it, or connection or support in something higher than yourself and something that is not of the physical. So you might refer to this as God. That's what I call it. Maybe you call it source, universe, angels. I'm not sure, insert word here. I'll use God because, like I said, that's what I call it. But I feel like you found some kind of strength there for some of you, right? Where you realize you're not in this alone, that things are being orchestrated on your behalf, that again, you're far more powerful, perhaps, or you're much stronger than what you have previously believed to be true. And maybe for some of you, some of that is coming through your strength in, like I said, something bigger than yourself, realizing that there are things at work in your life behind the scenes, and you're not doing this thing called life alone. Let's look at the realizations or epiphanies that came through for you. You have here the law of divine will. Stop waiting for a sign. The universe responds to your beliefs. Yeah, right? I feel like, again, there's been with what's unfolded here, it feels like there's this acknowledgement of, oh, if I think that this is bad, it's going to be, that's what I'm going to experience it as. Um, or if I think of something as, this is just what I feel it needs to be, then that's just how I'm going to see it, right? I just feel like your belief systems have changed, because I feel like you've come to this realization that essentially, as within so without, or what you think about you bring about, type of thing, right? Something along the lines of being a co-creator of your own reality, and whatever it is you feed is what will grow, right? Some kind of realization around that, I feel like it has taken place for you. And I feel like it's, how do I say this? It's like somebody turned on a light, right? That's what it feels like. I mean, I know that's essentially a realization or epiphany, but it feels like it was some kind of like, oh, wow. Like, I would have never imagined that this would be the case. The law of perception. Look beyond the illusion to the one truth. Yeah, I feel like there's part of a realization that you may have had here, or an epiphany, is that essentially you create the box you live in, or you live without a box, or that box grows smaller or larger depending on how you perceive things. And so for some of you, I feel like maybe you were living from this place where you felt limited in some kind of way, or maybe we're a little bit, I don't know what the word is. Yeah, I mean, it just feels like this is what it is. This is just how things are. That's kind of how it feels to me, right? And I feel like for some of you, there's again been this realization that the box is an illusion. And it's an illusion we create. And if you play the observer, if you pull, stop looking at things dead on, right, where there's like this wall, if you just come up a little bit, it's like, oh, look what's over there, type of thing. um so I feel like for some of you, again, with the moon here, right, it's shown up multiple times now. I feel like you came to this realization that we create our illusions. The world mirrors back to us what we believe. And if we believe that we are incredibly limited, if we believe that, whatever, insert belief here, whatever we believe is what the universe is going to show to us. And so for some of you, there's been an expansion on these beliefs, or a leveling up in your consciousness or awareness that has really allowed you to look at things from a very different perspective, and to not see the world through this kind of tunnel vision or this kind of like a limited lens, and are open to more possibilities, what is actually your true potential, what opportunities are actually available there to you, right? When you don't just stay in the same box. I'm going to read the message from this card for you just to get a little bit deeper on it, but let me see here. I feel like it could potentially provide, just like I said, a little bit more depth, perhaps a little bit more clarity on the epiphany that came through for you with this specifically. Yeah, okay, so it says, it seems you have been playing small at this game called life. By drawing this card, your higher self desires for you to no longer look to the outside world, to only seek the truth within. There is an almighty, omniscient presence with you now. There is an indestructible, absolute, and a self existing aspect of you. The universe is revealing through the law of perception that you can never be the effect of any circumstance. Your destiny is to experience your full divinity. So there's a journal prompt here. And it says, write down all of your perceptions of life. What are the meanings you place upon yourself, people, places, and the circumstances of life? Next, ask yourself, is this perception true? Right? So again, it's that whole kind of energy of, placing yourself in a box. And I feel like for some of you, this box has essentially been torn down, or is in the process of being torn down. You have the law of oneness. Realize the need to, or pardon me, release the need to make anyone wrong and to unify with your truth. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because there's all of this energy of being in the space of neutrality, right? And I feel like some of the realization that you've come to, um, through, or that were brought to you in the month of February, were to kind of, again, position yourself in this very neutral space, right? Are my perceptions true? Am I giving more weight to these things than what is actually present? Okay, so it's interesting. Again, I feel like some of you have had or developed some kind of deep connection with something much larger than yourself, or have in some way, shape, or form gained some deep understanding about soul evolution, or the structure, the spiritual structure of things, or something along those lines, where you're looking at things from a very, very differently, very, very differently, very different. It feels as though, yeah, they're, I feel like your belief systems, some of them, have been completely torn down. And maybe that's not to say that there may not be work to do, but I feel like there's been a lot of transformative energy around you in the month of February, and has really brought you to this place where, again, you're realizing that the world mirrors back to you what it is you believe inside. And we give things meaning, right? And again, like I said, oftentimes we give it more meaning than what is necessary. And so, For example, maybe if you like left a job or a relationship or something, you may have kind of just realized that, the relationship taught you something, or the job taught you something, or the experience taught you something, and now it's on to something different. Simple as that. You have here self, body, and presence. Yeah, I feel like you're putting yourself first. Really, Scorpio, I feel as though, because we have this Aries energy here, right? First house with Aries on the card here. And I feel as though, there's this whole kind of, so I have fear coming up. I feel like you've released fears around your truth and who you really are on a very deep level. And it feels to me like, again, there's been some realizations about yourself, right? About who you are. And I feel like you're putting yourself first. I feel like some of these calls that were made, for example, if you released a relationship or moved out of a job, or something like that, left a friendship circle, I don't know what it might be for you, but doing that, I feel like, was the choice you made for you. I don't feel, again, it feels to me like you were coming at this from a place of neutrality, from a place of, this is just what needs to be done for me. It's not that there's any level of animosity or anything like that. It's just simply that this is what I need to do for myself. And I feel as though, there's this energy here, stop waiting for a sign, because I feel like whatever it was for you that brought you to this place, this way of thinking, or this way of being, I feel like you knew within yourself, right? It's like, I this is what I need to do, and I know I need to do this for myself. So for some of you, you may have actually been looking for a sign, right? It's like, but I feel like you were looking for a sign because you already knew. And there may have been some aspects of fear around it, and then eventually you just got to a point where you're like, okay, this is what I need to do, and I know I need to do it, so let me stop just messing around here, type of thing. I hope that makes sense, you guys. I mean, you have a lot of one energy, right? First house, one truth, oneness. So, I feel this is certainly a new beginning for you. And I do feel like there's more of this, trying to move you into your true potential. Yeah, I feel as though, this is really the start of something incredible for you, should you choose to continue along this vein, if this is something that resonates with you. You have here as well cyclicality, homecoming, and progress. Yes, I do feel like you said, you're like making progress. I feel like things are unfolding for you. I do feel like you're, in the process of leveling up or moving into the next stage of your evolution. I feel like these epiphanies were, or rather did come through in order to create progress for you, to move you forward, to realize where, maybe you've been living kind of in a box, or on a merry-go-round, or feeling like you're on a treadmill or something like that, having certain things keep rising up within you, or experiencing certain things cyclically. And I feel as though there's part of this whole thing that's unfolded for you in the month of February that really brought you to this place of recognizing those in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's just, maybe, I don't know, maybe you were going to work every day and like dreading it or something, and it felt very like, I'm on a treadmill, things are not changing, or it felt very cyclic. And just kind of standing up for yourself and saying, okay, this is not good. Like, I can't do this anymore, right? But seeing that cycle just going over and over, or repeating over and over. And I do feel like, these realizations have been meant to bring you home to yourself in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's not, how would I say, even if you're not seeing this in like every single area of your life, I feel as though there is an aspect of you that has come home. There is an aspect of you where maybe you feel more comfortable in your own body. You feel comfortable making decisions. You feel, a little, I don't know, freer. I don't know if that's something maybe, someone specific has said, but it feels as though there's this sense of like freedom, or like flowing kind of, I hope that makes sense. It just feels a lot lighter to me. Where do we want you? Let's put you right there. Okay, we also have here luminosity, intimacy, and hyper awareness. So another moon card, or another moon showing up for you. And, you know, I feel like this illuminated a lot of things for you. I feel, like I said, it felt like somebody just turned on a light and all of a sudden these things just started making sense, which of course is what an epiphany is anyways. But, you know, I feel like it really brought your awareness level to how you're showing up in the world, and how, again, like, I create my reality. So if I'm giving a bunch of weight to these things and I'm not, you know, or I'm giving things more weight than what's necessary and making it harder on myself, right? Like I'm responsible for that, you know? So I feel, again, it's brought you to this level where you are now more aware of yourself. You're more aware of how your decisions, your beliefs impact your reality and how you experience things. I feel as though it's encouraged you to get, in some ways, it's almost like getting to know yourself again. In some ways, um, it's almost like establishing a new level of vulnerability with yourself or intimacy with yourself. It's interesting, but I feel like, yeah, okay. I feel like this comes from, you know, being more aware of yourself. So yeah, it's getting to know yourself better. Where previously, and I think I've talked about this in readings past, um, you may have been, you know, kind of closed down to yourself. You know, not really wanting to dive deep within, or to, or maybe you struggle to be comfortable with your own depth, or your, you know, the intensity of who you are. And it feels to me like maybe you've just realized that when you're in this state of resistance, things just seem a lot freaking harder. And the more you open up to your truths, the more you connect with who you are on a very deep level, the more intimate, if you will, you are with yourself, and you acknowledge and accept those parts of yourself, the easier things seem to be. Again, very powerful place to be, Scorpio. Like, this is, I'm in, I mean, I know, like, it doesn't, I don't know, my opinion doesn't have a lot of weight, right? But I'm impressed because not a lot of people are able to find themselves in this position. So if you're resonating with this, like, kudos to you, because this is not something that most people find easy. This is not something that a lot of people necessarily accomplish. You know, a lot of people just kind of keep doing what they're doing. So yeah, you have here as well. Uh, interesting. Wasn't I just saying that some of you maybe being positioned or prepared to be some kind of leader? Priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead? Now, whether you are male or female is irrelevant, okay? This is not, you know, a specific reading for either gender. But I feel like, you know, the whole point is to prepare you for leadership. And I feel like a big part of that, whatever that, however that unfolds, right, wherever you may find yourself in that position, I feel like it's leading by example. It's not lording over people, you know, it's not, I don't know, looking down upon people, this sort of thing. I feel like it's preparing you to be a good role model, to live by example, right? So even if you are not necessarily put, you know, down the road in a position of leadership, maybe some of you already have been, but you know, even if that's not the case for you, I feel like it's quite simply that you are being molded into a leader just by existing, right? Just by being you, by following your own heart. And the thing about it is, Scorpio, is that when we are living our truth, when we are being authentic, when we show up that way day after day after day after day, people see that. So it creates this ripple effect, right? Because, your friends, your family, your coworkers, et cetera, people see this. And even though we don't need permission to do that, oftentimes it gives people a sense of permission. It shows people like, oh, it's okay to do that. It's okay for me to be who I am. It's okay to, to move in a way that feels good to me. I hope that makes sense. But I do feel like some of you are being put in this leadership position, however that shows up. So, how might this impact your journey moving forward? The law of correspondence: see life as the ultimate mirror, guiding you to the highest version of yourself. Isn't that interesting? Right? Because I've been talking about this a bit. Yeah, I feel moving forward, right? There's a level of awareness that I feel like you're going to carry with you, because you can't unsee what you've seen, right? You can't really unknow what you know. You can avoid it, you can deny it, certainly, but you can't unknow it, you can't unsee it. And so I feel that, as though, for some of you, coming to this realization or having this experience really encourages you moving forward to pay attention, right? To be observant of what's going on around you, what you are experiencing in your life, in your reality, both internally and externally, and to recognize that, it's the mirror. It's showing you exactly what you need to know, which again, I feel gives you this sense of, I'm not doing this alone, which you certainly aren't. Okay, based on my own beliefs. So, you don't have to believe this, of course, but my own beliefs, like, we all have a guardian angel, and that's just scratching the surface of it. Okay, so we're never truly alone. But aside from that, I feel like it does give you this sense of, oh, I'm being guided, I'm being led, I'm being molded. You know what I'm saying? Things are being orchestrated for me. And if I just pay attention, then I will know how to move. I will, be able to, how do I say it? Almost, I don't want to say analyzing, because sometimes that can be, that can stall us or hinder us a bit. But I feel like it's something along those lines, right? Like, if I'm observing, if I'm paying attention, I can recognize these signs for what they are and can act accordingly to whatever I'm being shown, right? So, for example, chaos, external chaos, often is a signal of internal chaos, right? So I feel like there's something here that you may have picked up, and moving forward, I feel like this is something that you may just carry with you as an understanding about life and use it to your advantage, right? Like, it's a tool in your box, if you will, that you now have. The law of mentalism: get clarity on your core, values, and commit to what matters. So get clarity on your core values and commit to what matters. Yeah, I feel like some of you, what matters is changing, right? So before, perhaps, let's say if you were in a certain job that maybe you really didn't care for, but it made you good money and whatever, maybe you're moving forward, it's like, but the money isn't really what matters to me. What matters to me is that I like what I do. Or if in, like, say, a relationship, perhaps you were in a relationship that maybe you weren't fulfilled by, simply because you didn't want to be alone. And perhaps now there's this, uh, what matters is that the relationships that you are a part of provide something for you, that they fulfill you in some kind of way. And I'm not saying we do things just to benefit us, but I feel like there's, this discernment that you maybe now have, where it's like, if it's just bringing in, I'm getting fear again. If it's just creating chaos in my life, if it's creating upheaval within me, if it's disturbing my peace, if it's toxic, these are not things or situations or relationships that I want to be a part of. Right. So I feel like moving forward, this really gives you clarity on what matters, especially, we were talking about earlier, giving more meaning to things than what they actually have. Um, and I feel, again, it's getting to the kind of the nitty gritty or the root of it. Like, does this even matter? Right? And so, I feel, again, it just feels like you are loading up your toolbox, Scorpio, with all of these things that you can apply moving forward and can grow grow from, that can, it's like, yes, thank you, that you can continue to nurture, right? Okay. You have here as well the law of emergent evolution. Make a new declaration for your life. Yeah, I feel like moving forward, it just, like, I'm kind of seeing someone like standing very, with like a strong spine, you know, not like slouching or anything like that, but standing in a very strong position. And I feel like this is perhaps how this will impact your journey moving forward, because I feel like it's like I'm not, how do I say? It's like not allowing the world to, just have this burden on me, is kind of how it feels. It feels like, oh, wait, you know, I decide. I decide, So I feel like, I hope this is making sense, you guys. I feel like you may be trying to make sense of it yourself. And maybe that's why these things are coming through in the way that they are, because I feel like it shouldn't be this hard. So maybe you're trying to make sense of these things yourself. But I feel like there's this kind of, like, you've taken this stance, I feel like, in your life, where it's like, I'm the creator of my reality, right? Um, I give meaning to things. And if I believe that the world is heavy and I'm burdened by it, and I'm carrying the world on my shoulders, then that is how I'm going to experience life. Whereas if I am, empowered, if I believe in myself, if, I see the world as just the world, and, full of opportunity and potential and these sorts of things, and beautiful, and, be grateful for these things, then I can kind of step into the world in a very different way. Gosh, I hope this is making sense. But I feel like, regardless, even if it's not, I feel like it will be for those who it's supposed to resonate with. But I feel like there are these butterflies on this card here, and I feel as though it's a sign of your transformation. I feel like, moving forward, there's this metamorphosis that continues to happen. Ultimately, putting you in a place where you spread your wings and fly. So I'm going to read, because, good God, that felt like a hot mess express. I'm going to go ahead and read this from the guidebook for you on the law of emergent evolution. Let me find it. So this is the number 11 in this book. That may be a number that's important to you. It is also on page 21, which could also be a number that's important to you for some reason. I don't know if that's for someone specific, but I don't, or haven't been called to read many of the numbers, so that might be important, or a sign for someone. Take it if it's yours, leave it for someone else if it isn't. Okay. So it says, it indicates that you are ready for a metamorphosis. Absolutely. It is time to demand what you desire by declaring it into your subconscious mind and impressing upon universal law. By drawing this card, it indicates that you have been unclear in your conviction. This universal law responds out of necessity. The first step in directing this law is to get clear on who you must become to thrive and to live a prosperous life. Yeah, so it's really interesting, right? Because it says here, being unclear in your conviction. And when I was reading that, right, there was this whole kind of, I was getting that picture again in my mind of, someone standing there very strongly. And I feel as though this is where I feel like you're headed. Should you choose to continue along this path, I feel like this is where you're headed, right? Where you are, like I said, kind of like taking control of things, where you are not just sitting on the sidelines of your own life, but you're an active participant in it, active participant in the co-creation of your reality. And I feel like it's likely to transform your life again if you continue along this path. You have your, yep, momentum, initiative, magnetism. Yeah. So, for some of you, I feel, like I said, I was getting this feeling of like freedom. And I feel like some of you feel more at home, more free than maybe you've ever felt before. And so, again, if you can, I just feel like this is like you've got the ball rolling. So, moving forward, again, if you should continue along this vein, and take the initiative to continue growing and evolving, I feel as though it's just going to continue picking up momentum. That is not saying that you won't experience challenges, obstacles, detours, or maybe taking a couple of steps back, or whatever it is. But I do feel that there's this ball rolling on your evolution, and you can continue to rise as you continue to take the initiative to do so, right? As you face each challenge, as do face each challenge with courage and fearlessly, and just recognizing them as a means for, thank you, just recognizing them as the next step, right? This is a means by which I can step up. So essentially looking at the challenge or the obstacle as the step itself, right? So once I triumph over this, I level up, kind of thing. I hope that makes sense. I also feel as though, the more that you implement what you've learned into your experience, so you have this, again, this whole kind of see life as the ultimate mirror guiding you to the highest version of yourself, right? We have also the universe responds to your beliefs. And I feel as though the more, like I said, the more you implement or integrate these things into your experience, the more you put them into practice, I feel as though you're going to find new things being drawn towards you, new experiences. Again, you're going to see that mirrored back to you. It's like flipping on the magnet, like, hey, this is what I'm putting out, and here it comes back to me. Like, I'm seeing opportunity in the world, so opportunity is finding me, right? I'm seeing opportunity for my potential, so opportunities for me to show my potential, to step into it, to realize it, are showing up. I hope this makes sense. Another number one with that first quarter moon there. So again, your reading here, your messages here, Scorpio, have new beginning, potential, opportunity written all over them, breakthroughs, clarity. I just think it's incredible. I really do. You have here as well square, interesting, competition, tension, disharmony. Yeah, okay, so I feel like this is really addressing the reality of evolving, okay? The reality of growing. I feel like, yeah, I just feel like it's really bringing forward the need to understand and be aware that as you continue to evolve and grow, the things that really are not in alignment with you, you will find yourself coming up against, if that makes sense. It's almost like, just like, if there are people, let's say, you'll find yourself butting heads with them. If it's a certain environment, you'll find that you are in a state of disharmony when you arrive there. Or things like this. I feel like it's really bringing forward some of the things that or rather, how do I say, how things tend to show up when things are not in alignment with us. I hope this is making sense. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm saying that a lot. You guys, I feel like you've been trying to make sense of this. For some reason, I don't know. I feel as though it's probably because it took you by such surprise that you're looking for this deeper meaning to it or something, or you're trying to find the deeper meaning to it all, or understand it on a very deep level, or something like that. And I feel like I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of confusion around it, or maybe a lot of overthinking around it. Um, because again, I usually do not find it this hard, if you will, to bring messages through. And usually when I'm reading, um, whatever the energy is, it will manifest in how I'm reading, right? Oftentimes. So I just feel like there's something there about that. But I feel like this is going to impact your journey moving forward, because I feel like you're going to be able to easily recognize when things are creating tension or disharmony in your experience, and will be able to act accordingly. So again, for example, if it's certain people or an environment or something like that, I feel like you would recognize the tension, recognize the disharmony, and make whatever decisions you need to in order to bring things back into balance, right? And I feel like part of it is because, which is a very interesting thing, maybe this is something you have said or will say, I don't know. But it's like, I don't want to be boxed in, right? Like I don't want to feel boxed in by tension and disharmony and like chaos, and like that's not a place I want to like sit down and get comfortable type of thing. So I feel like you'll recognize that, maybe you'll give it a couple of tries or something, but I feel like there's this energy of like, I don't want to find myself stuck in that. And so I feel like whenever you may meet it, there's this whole kind of, let me just nip this in the bud, because this is not my thing. Okay. Hopefully y'all are picking up what I'm putting down. You have your protection, call back your power, cut the cords, soul retrieval. So yeah, if you continue along this vein, I do feel like you're going to continue to call back, these aspects of yourself, continue to come home to yourself, continue to like settle in to who you truly are, right? Calling soul retrieval, bringing these things back to yourself. Again, we have cut the cords, which is what I was just speaking on here. So I think that's really quite an interesting synchronicity, because I do feel that, again, when you find yourself coming up against certain things that simply do not feel right to you, or maybe you feel the tension, you feel the disharmony, or your intuition is like, red flag, I feel like you're going to be one who's going to, like I said, nip that in the bud right away, because it's you standing in your power, knowing what you want, and protecting yourself, right? Like, I don't want to be trapped in something. So it's really fascinating how this is showing up, honestly. Yeah, I think, for some of you in the past, I don't know why I'm getting this. Maybe it's because you're such passionate and emotional people. Also, tend to be, Scorpio tends to be sacrificing as well. In the past, you may have been someone who would just kind of do things because you thought it was right. Um, or how do I say? Because maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some part of you that felt like you should, even if you didn't want to, or even if you didn't agree with it or something. And I feel like that, I don't know, I feel like that is a no-go moving forward. I feel like some of you have released fears around like ruffling people's feathers, you know? And again, I feel like it's not putting so much weight or meaning on things like, oh, just because I don't like this doesn't mean I'm not, like, it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Just because I don't agree with this doesn't mean, anything. It just means that's my truth. So, I do feel, again, that moving forward, it's just, I see, for those of you that resonate with this and continue moving along this path, I just see you like standing in a very powerful place for you, and showing up in the world in a very, very different way, but a powerful way, a truthful, authentic way. You have leap, you go first, the universe will catch you. Yeah. Moving forward, I feel like you may take some more risks or take chances, especially when it comes to opportunities and stepping into your potential. Because again, there's this whole kind of not giving so much meaning to things, right? And what's the worst that could happen? It doesn't work out. What's the worst that, you know what I'm saying? It just feels like, again, there's a sense of freedom or lightness that continues to grow as you move forward, where you're maybe not so, let's say, paranoid about certain things or how they might work out or how people might see you or whatever the case may be. I just feel like there's more of this, well, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. Especially if it's something that you feel very called to, right? If it's something that you feel is, you know, really how do I say, nudged by your intuition, right? Where your intuition's like, do that, do that, do that. It's like, all right, well, here we go. Again with the moon. Again with the moon. So again, I feel like you are not letting fear hold you back, right? I feel like you are not letting illusions hold you back. Yeah, it's so freaking powerful. It really, really is. I feel like there's also an energy here with the moon of you. It's like learning secrets about yourself. And there's this energy of like, I have this big smile on my face because I feel like there's this energy of like being pleasantly surprised by the secrets that you're revealing just by, working on yourself or, um, yeah, it feels like, there are secrets and treasures being uncovered that have laid dormant within you, and I feel like you're finding them and are being pleasantly surprised by what it is you're finding. Oh, I love this. All right, so the messages or advice to best support and serve you moving forward. Yes, like I said, oh my gosh, you have the law of vibration. Practice the art of not knowing and start flowing, like I was saying with leap, right? There's this whole kind of energy coming through around, I'm just going to see what happens. And I'm not saying you're running around all willy-nilly. Okay. Now, I want to be very clear about this. I'm just going to take just a second. For me, willy-nilly it is doing things out of fear. It is doing things out of, like, how do I say, like needing to control things, right? So for example, maybe you left, maybe, I don't know, maybe you got let go from one job, and the fear of not having things, and I want to explain this in a in the best way possible. You're like, oh, I need to go find a job and I want to hurry up and do that. And now I get it, because if this is your story, which I don't know if it is or not, but if it's your story, I get it. We need the ability to provide shelter and clothing and food for ourselves. Okay, I totally get it. But I'm just using this as an example, okay? So maybe, you're let go of one job and you're like in the rush to try to control the situation and find yourself another job, okay? That to me, where we're doing things because we're afraid, is running through life willy-nilly. Because for me personally, right, God lets us know, right? Especially if we're doing our part, okay, God will let us know. Like, I feel like I should probably get another job. Okay, fine. So you put out applications, all right, Lord, where am I supposed to be? Where am I supposed to be? Or your intuition is like, hey, go here, right? And so you do, and then you meet an old friend who's like, oh, you're telling them you just lost your job. And the friend is like, hey, I've got the perfect thing for you. So for me, being led by your intuition is not willy-nilly. Why? Because for me, like I said, my thing doesn't have to be yours. God is the, master orchestrator. So God sees what I can't. right? God is going to deliver to me what I need. And so, doing things because I'm afraid that God will not provide, that is willy-nilly to me. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I probably took a lot more time on that than what I needed, but there it is nonetheless. So I feel like this is not about, running life all willy-nilly, like doing things without any kind of prompting from God or your intuition, like doing things because you need to control or you're freaking out. I don't feel like that's what this is. But I do feel that, if the universe is like, hey, go here, and you take that leap of faith, it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but, God says go, so I'm going. I feel like that could lead you to some really incredible things. Okay? You have to use your discernment. You know what's best for you. Okay? I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. That is not my job. But I do feel that if you, don't try to control things and you go with the flow, you allow life to lead you or God to lead you, right? Then I feel like it could really, really open a lot of doors. Because both of these, right? You go first, the universe will catch you, practice the art of not knowing and start flowing. Like these are surrendering energies. It is, not trying to micromanage the universe. I'm going to read, you guys. I feel like this is all new to you. Is that what it is? Is that why I'm like struggling so much to like share these things? Again, if you've watched other readings of mine, this is not something that occurs often. Unless it's coming through in the energy. So I hope I'm making sense. Let's see. Okay. So again, this is a message or advice to best support and serve you moving forward. It says here, you may be going through a transitional time in your life. Certainly feels that way. Get used to it. Life is in constant movement. Change is inevitable and nothing is still. You must get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Your higher self desires to expand to the next level. Let go of trying to control. Focus your energy and time on the areas of your life where you thrive. Every belief, thought, and feeling you have is creating the vibration and frequency of your life. As you feel positive, you will attract more positivity into your life. The universe desires for you to spend time doing the things you love with people who bring you up. Expect to experience high energy and freedom. Yes. Right. So it's like being open to things changing and flowing and moving, not trying to control things. Okay. You have as well here the law of forgiveness. Release all judgments and set yourself free. I mean, you just had this energy of freedom, and here the moment you judge anything as good or bad, you set the universe into motion. So again, I feel like this is just reiterating that freedom comes from, or this sense of freedom comes from, when you're staying in this neutral place, right? Because we're not adding more pressure to ourselves by giving things such deep meaning. And so I feel like this is a reminder for you to continue moving along that path if that sense of freedom or lightness is something that you want to experience or continue to experience. You know what's really interesting as well? She has that umbrella there, and I was just seeing this as almost like, I don't want to say like the glass ceiling, but do you know what I mean? Like almost like a ceiling. And I feel like once, how do I say? If we stop seeing the rain as bad, for example, we don't have this ceiling on us. Or, very similar to like putting ourselves in a box. You guys, things come through to me in such strange ways sometimes. Okay, we have here as well reversal, deceleration, and distance. Yeah, again, it says reversal, and I feel like the thing of it is like there's no going back. I think I said this in Libra's reading as well. So if you have, a lot of Libra in your chart or something, you may want to check that out. Or if it's maybe, one of your other signs, Sun, Moon, Rising, you may want to look into that, because I think I had a similar message come through there. But I feel like there's this kind of energy of like no take backsies, right? Like you can't unsee what you've seen, right? There's no going back at this point. And so I feel like there's this whole kind of, even if you slow down, right? Even if things slow down, I feel like there's still this energy of moving from point A to point B, or moving, like, traveling a distance, if you will. Even if things slow down, you're still making progress, you're still moving forward, you're still creating distance between, who you used to be and the potential that you have to be. So I feel like there's this whole kind of like, don't be afraid if things slow down. Don't give it a lot of meaning, I guess you could say. Don't judge it as bad, because it just means that there's always a reason. Okay, if things slow down, there's always a reason. Um, I also feel like there's this whole kind of acknowledgement of playing the long game, right? Evolution is something that we are going through constantly. Growth is something that we're going through constantly, especially if we're looking at this from a place of personal development, or if we're looking at this from a place of spiritual growth, right? This is the long game. This is not something that is like one and done. Okay, this is something that continues to unfold throughout your entire life. And so I feel like it's really acknowledging that. And I also feel like there's this acknowledgement of, you may have seen this, um, where it's essentially, I don't know, it's floating around socials, but it's essentially saying, things are almost like a spiral, right? Where we go through things and then we kind of circle back, and then we move forward a bit and we circle back. Like, it kind of works that way. And you can see it on the card here a little bit, right? So I feel like this is something that's being acknowledged as well. Again, it's this whole kind of energy of like, don't fear when things slow down. Don't be afraid or take it as bad or negative or wrong if you take a couple steps back, or, it's kind of like, what is that song? Oh my gosh, I'm hearing it right now. Life's a Dance. Who is that? It's a country song. I will try to find it and link it below in the description. Um, I can't think of who it is right now. Good God. But it's coming through. Like, life's a dance, right? And when you're dancing, right, you're stepping backward, you're stepping forward, you're going off to the side, you're spinning round. So I just feel like taking that stance on things and realizing that that's kind of how it goes, I feel like will be very helpful for you, or will help you to move through or better navigate the ever changing experience. You have here as well mysticism, spirituality, escapism. Yeah, for some of you, I feel like there's this, how do I say it, this call to grow more or to develop your spirituality further. For some of you, you may benefit, because I feel like there's this depth to you where you may find it helpful to explore these things, to understand them at a much deeper level, right? So it just feels like bringing some clarity, or some structure to this whole kind of experience, really, again, understanding it at a deep level. So you may want to explore different spiritual paths, or spiritual teachings, in order to gain a deeper understanding of this, because I feel like it's like, I feel like it will help you to not be maybe so like overwhelmed by things. There are Eastern traditions, there are Western traditions. I love spiritual science, anthroposophy. I feel like it's provided for me this very deep understanding of myself and how things work when it comes to spiritual evolution. So maybe that's something you want to explore. But certainly there are many, many options out there. I just feel like researching this at a deeper level and finding something that really, resonates with you could be very helpful. Yeah, that's what I'm getting from that. I thought maybe, like, I was seeing if there was more, but I don't think that there is. Yeah, I just think it will clear up some confusion. All right. Oh, yes. We have here, I felt this. You're already doing it. Stop overthinking. Keep facing your true north. Yeah, I think um, part of part of the struggle with this is that we're so entrenched in physicality. Um, you know, I feel like part of the struggle is needing to give definitions to everything, needing things to be logical or practical, needing for things to have this kind of definition to them. And I feel like this is where we can kind of get caught up, right? Because it can put us in this place where we are in this, overthinking, anxious, analysis paralysis state, and it can really delay us, deter us, confuse us. And so I feel like, a big part of why this message is coming through for you, Scorpio, is to encourage you to keep tapping into what is true for you, right? To keep aligning what you feel is authentic, what feels natural for you versus, trying to figure everything out. Because I'm just going to be real with you. We're not meant to understand everything. Not everything is meant to have a label or a definition. Not everything is meant to be explainable, right? So I feel like there's this, like, don't overthink it, okay? Right? Like I said, it felt to me like maybe you were trying to understand things and really, trying to figure it out. Again, maybe something like spiritual science, anthroposophy would be helpful for you in that way because it does give this incredible structure. But otherwise, if that's not something that you're interested in looking more deeply into, I feel as though this is really a message for you to say, not everything is going to have a definition. Not everything is going to be able to be understood from a logical or literal perspective, right? So I hope that makes sense. I feel like it's asking you to, for some things, just to kind of go with it, right? If it feels light and right for you, um, if you're not being met with these horrible feelings about things, I feel like pursue that. But again, you are the master of your own life and you know what's best for you. You have as well awakening. Yes, 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 yes. I knew it. Energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration. So, again, the final message here for you is if you continue along this path, if you continue to implement or integrate these new ways of being, I feel like you're only going to continue to rise higher and higher. And again, with the freaking moon. So I feel as though this is about you going to the next level, going to the next level, going to the next level. Everything that's unfolded or will unfold, should you choose to continue to pursue it, I feel like is about raising you up. All right, it is about aligning you with that higher purpose, whatever that looks like for you, awakening you to something more than this physical world, or opening your eyes even more so to, these more spiritual realities. I mean, you guys, I do apologize for the struggle with bringing this stuff through because I just did 2 readings before this one. no problems. Okay. Um, Definitely did not struggle as much as I did with yours. So I do apologize, but I do feel like it's speaking to some of the confusion that you've been experiencing, because I feel like this has all taken you by surprise. I feel like that um, these things have unfolded, and it was maybe something that you weren't prepared for, or just want to understand at a deeper level. And so some of this confusion I feel like is coming through there, and what do I do from here? How do I move forward? These sorts of things. I feel like it was bringing up about a lot of just mental jousting going on. So I hope and pray, though, that this blessed you in some way, shape, or form, that it provided you with some kind of confirmation, clarity, help, value in some way, or that it resonated with you. If it did, I would like to remind you to please like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you feel comfortable, comment below or share this content. I'm so very grateful for that. Thank you for spending time with me. It's been a pleasure to be here with you, and I pray that you have a beautiful month moving forward. Take care of your growing, evolving, expanding soul. Peace be with you and within you, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.